In today's video, we are going to explore how to take down the raging behemoth that is the Barbarian. We're going to find their weaknesses and exploit them. Let's do this. This video is sponsored by Obvious Mimic and their awesome shirts. Currently, I'm wearing their Eye of the Beholder Barbershop shirt. I really like these shirts. They take villains from D&D and then they give them a job. So, for example, the Barbershop is a beholder, and then we have a mind flayer who can do hypnotherapy. It's a really cool line of shirts. It's really high quality, and they have more lines of shirts if that's not your style. They have tourism shirts for locations in D&D, so if you ever wanted an Underdark tourist shirt, now you can. But with that, let's jump into today's video. Getting straight into it, Barbarian's #1 weakness is easily wisdom saving throws. One, they're going to have an incredibly low save DC when it comes to these wisdom saving throws. Two is that wisdom saving throws usually don't do damage. So what they're going to do is control your Barbarian. Now the reason this is powerful is it can turn off rage. If someone uses the first level spell command and just tells your Barbarian to sit, your Barbarian's going to sit down, do nothing for their turn, which means they didn't do damage and they didn't take damage, and it wastes a whole rage activation. That's on the gentle side of what wisdom saving throws can do. It can also frighten your Barbarian until they save. So your Barbarian can literally stand around and do nothing besides chuck javelins at disadvantage for several turns in a row until they get really lucky. Or it can be the same thing, but instead of them being frightened, it can turn them against their allies, so now they're charmed and aggressive towards their allies for several rounds in a row. And Barbarians who are aggressive against their allies are terrifying. They take half damage and they deal a ton of damage to their allies, so it can be an absolute nightmare. That's not the only way to exploit a Barbarian though. Distance is another one. They have very limited options when it comes to range, usually revolving around chucking a javelin, which, considering its non-disadvantage range is 30, can barely be called range at all. So creating your environments, creating your battlefields to make it difficult for the Barbarian to get to your enemies can be one way to limit a Barbarian's strength. So by creating obstacles and distance, you can limit how powerful your Barbarians can be. The third and final weakness is alternative damage types. Very simple. You can give your enemy a sword that does radiant damage. You don't want to do this too often because when they die, and they will die, your party's going to pick it up and now they're going to have it. But if every now and again, if you want your Barbarian to have a difficult mano-a-mano martial-like combat, giving the enemy a way to do full damage is a really simple way to even the playing field. What all three of these have in common is use them with restraint. Barbarians aren't so insanely powerful that you should be actively nerfing their ability to play the game every single combat. Every now and again, throw one of these in there to make the Barbarian feel mortal when they usually feel so incredibly tanky. But don't throw them into every fight, because how fun is it for a Barbarian to be making wisdom saving throws or do nothing, or to be spending their first 2 to 3 turns trying to get to the enemies? Not that fun. So keep it in mind and use it with balance. But that's just my take on the Barbarian. What do you guys think is Barbarian's primary weaknesses? Let me know in the comments down below, and with that, my friends, I will catch you on the next one. See you then.